Welcome to Artless Snap.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. We'll fix it both. We'll be fine.
Yeah, so do you remember what the... Welcome to Artless Snap. This is Anthony Pago, and this is Heidi Klum.
Yeah, Heidi Klum. Exactly right.
We all know her. Heidi Bell has been here before. She's an old guard for the podcast.
Yeah.
She'll be back more often because everybody's decided they love her voice. They love her personality.
Do they really, or is this just you saying, gassing me up to come back again?
No diss to anybody else we've talked about, but you're the one who I've been told needs to come back. So.
Well, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And she's got her own podcast. Let's plug that.
I have 2 podcasts now. I just started one between, I think, here and now. I guess then and now. I have 10 Things We Hate About Rom-Coms, still, that's on SoundCloud. I have a lot of backed episodes that I need to upload still.
Yep.
But I'm a busy lady.
Yep.
But I also have another podcast that I started with a friend of mine named Hannah.
Cool.
They're in a couple local punk bands. They're a local artist. And we have a podcast called 2000 and Late.
Okay.
Where we just spend an hour talking about stuff that we loved back in the 2000s.
Okay.
Because if the 2000s loved anything, it's nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
They just, everyone remember the VH1 series? I love those,
yeah.
So.
That was our Bravo type channel.
Yeah.
You junk out on what people used to do and what you used to be like.
Remember when people used to do this?
I think
Isn't that interesting.
I think that's the equivalent to old people who want things to be the way
they watch
used
Turner
to be.
Classic Movies. And
Sure.
Republican.
But yeah, they hyper romanticize their past and then tell these stories about how things used to be better back in the day, you know. And instead of having to do that, now we just get to pop it on, it used to be MTV, and now it's Bravo or whatever. And if you want to scare the shit out of yourself, you don't want to think about the past, you're running away from your past, you put it on the ID channel, you do the murder porn, and you totally put your head forward and go how might I die tomorrow? Or how do I kill somebody, I guess, maybe.
Both of those things have crossed my mind. But I don't watch those shows.
Yeah.
Ever.
And so what are your junking out shows?
No, I do. I feel like my mom's horrified by I've always been my mom's why do you have this encyclopedia of serial killers? Why do you like watching all these violent movies and things like that? And I'm just do you not remember Thursday nights and we'd watch Dateline together?
I do it because I learned it from you, Mom.
I learned it by watching you.
And you've definitely turned into a psychopath, murderous, the femme fatale.
All of the things. I've murdered 20,000 people.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you find the time?
I wake up very early in the morning.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I mean, do you block out time for things like reading?
You always have to. There's the reflection time.
That's good.
And you have to go you have to keep up. You have to keep your shape up because you don't know how fast you're. So you have to run in the morning.
Self-improvement is important.
And always having self-improvement.
Yeah.
And always believing in yourself because that's the most important thing.
You can't help or murder anybody else unless you've taken care of your temple first.
Yeah. You can't. I mean, RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anybody else?
Damn true.
So if you can't love yourself, how are you going to kill anybody else?
And accolades to RuPaul for getting the Emmy, 2 days ago or something
is that a thing?
Yeah. We watched the dresses and the people, and it was cute and stuff. Even when I've been single, I'll turn it on for a good 30 minutes, 45 minutes and see what the hell's going on, because I want to know who matters still. But I don't junk out on, oh my God, she divorced such and such, and they're in the same room, and I don't know who any of them, how they're related, I
mean, if I had cable and I thought about watching the Emmys, I would.
Yeah.
For that, I want to see who's gonna
It was over the air. It was basic TV that you can get on an antenna or whatever. But yeah, there's no need.
Rich boy over here with your antenna.
Right. Well, we did pay somebody to get the antenna all the way up into the roof so that I could get all of the channels. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Rich boy over here.
Yeah, well. So you wanted to talk a little bit about... No, I wanted to talk a little bit about, like, fall and change.
Yeah, it's that time.
Was there a movie or a habit? Like, I cooked chicken noodle soup today. Something
Amazing
that's
chicken noodle soup that we ate before we started today.
Yeah, it's like the whole chicken, and you do the stock. And I know this is boring.
You made
shit
your
out of
stock?
Oh, I did the whole thing. Yeah, it's all.
Fuck yeah!
It's all like organic vegetables, and cut by my own hands.
That's where those rainbow carrots came from.
Yeah, exactly. It's all from Trader Joe's, who gets $2 Chuck, and they're like, they have little...
Ooh, in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, they have marquees out front. They're all like telling people. They're like,
I thought it's
Chuck
$3 Chuck now.
Oh, is it now?
Yeah.
Well, I was in California back in the 2000s, early 2000s, so...
I remember my
Inflation.
friend who lived there, she moved back to Oklahoma, like 2010, 2011, and she was like, right before I moved, they changed it to $3 Chuck instead of $2 Chuck. So
See, yeah, inflation happens.
yeah, and I lived in Nebraska, and we had a Trader Joe's that I'd never been to, but yeah, it was $3 Chuck there too.
Right.
So.
I remember there being some conspiracy theories about $2 Chuck back when the name was kind of like coined, and people were talking about. People were saying it's like multiple types of wine poured together, or it wasn't even like wine, and all these other things, but it tastes delicious. So
I mean, who could care? It's fucking $2.
Right, I was gonna say,
$3, I guess.
I remember one of the conspiracy theories being like they're gonna keep it $2 for a while and then just jack it the hell up and just like profit.
And
the
people
fuck
are gonna
out of it.
like pay for it because they're gonna be like, I miss that
Right.
sweet taste of
I don't feel like
$2 bottles of wine.
I don't feel like adding $1 to a $2 bottle of wine is that unfair. I think.
I don't either. Like, I think that's fine. They're probably just covering like the taxes that costs in some states.
Yeah,
probably. Or
I'm sure it's
whatever.
more expensive than that now. Don't you think it's like we're gonna run into the store? It's gonna be like $6.75.
$6 check, $6 check.
$6 Chuck. That's not a bad name.
That's not a bad name, and I wouldn't be fucking surprised here because we're just now getting our. If you're new to Oklahoma, we're gonna get regular point beer
Right.
and wine in our
Not just
regular
that,
grocery
like
stores.
cooled off.
Cold. Our liquor stores can have chillers in them, which is a very new thing.
Moving into the modern world, finally.
Yeah.
We gave the world shopping carts.
Yeah.
Oklahoma did, but we were like...
And if you remember that one billboard, because I do, it was on like... There was a while where Oklahoma had this thing. It was around 2007, 2008, when it was like the 100-year anniversary of
the centennial or whatever.
Yeah, the state's like whatever. Even though it was belonged to other people before that, but whatever.
You mean Guthrie? Oh, Native Americans.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant the stealing of the...
No.
Oh, okay.
I meant like the land mass itself was not.
Those people.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's not just 100 years old, but to celebrate the centennial, they had all these billboards up and down I-35 that was like, the great state of Oklahoma, and then it like underneath it was like, Will Rogers was born here, or whatever, like some shit. And then one of them said, the great state of Oklahoma, the parking meter was invented here in 19 whatever. And I was like, yeah.
Everyone honks their horn when they pass by, right?
Because everyone's really excited about fucking parking meters.
I'm sure there's a kid, like we have a nephew who just like can imitate any sound from a monster truck or a truck, which I'm sure is
he's
really...
that guy from Police Academy.
Yeah, exactly. That's who he's gonna, because he's smart as a whip, and communicative and
What's that guy's
interested.
name? You tell us, America.
Yeah, you tell us. What was his name? Not Bobby McFerrin.
No.
No.
No, it's that was the Don't Worry, Be Happy guy that was friends with Robin Williams.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I imagine there's some kid out there who's absolutely in love with the different types of parking meters. There's the digital ones, the old coin ones. In my mind, the coin ones rule. They've got that oddly shaped, turny thing.
Yeah, they have the turny thing. They have the thing that goes ding, like, when your time is up, it dings. Like, that's
just
fun.
the clicks and the little
The kids
weight
really
that pops
enjoy
up.
the noise that it makes.
Yeah. And I'm sure as like a meter maid or whatever they are,
I was gonna
to collect
say,
the coins.
Did Oklahoma also invent the meter maid?
Oh,
Like, if we
I don't
invented the
know.
parking meter,
Surely America had already...
does America need to thank us for the meter maid?
I'm going to go ahead and bet. We'll look this up, too. I'm going to bet that America had already invented an asshole that walks around and finds you for dumb shit walking down the street.
You don't say. What a concept.
We're all
What a
like,
concept.
you know what? The cops are too busy beating the shit out of people. We need somebody whose job is specifically not to beat the shit out of people, but just to fuck with people
But to
financially.
still be that fucked up guy.
Yeah.
Like, we have to stop beating the shit out of people because, like, you know, they're starting to catch on. Why don't we beat the shit out of them financially?
Are they? Are we starting to catch on? Is it?
No. Not at all.
No, not at all. Have you ever been in a fight? Have you ever been, like, had the shit beat out of you?
Yes.
Yeah?
By my sister.
Oh my god. Like, the shit was beat out of you by your sister?
Yes.
Wow.
I started the fight with her. I was like 18. My sister is 9 years older than me. My oldest sister is 9 years older than me. And we totally had a fist fight, and she absolutely won. I don't even think I got a hit in.
Wow.
But
She's scrappy.
she's hella scrappy. She, I remember her telling me this story a couple years ago. She was going through a hard time, and she was just like bar hopping alone because she was just like, you know, going through a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, trying to have fun at some point, you know, and she ended up at the high-low.
As
and
you
she
do.
was, yeah, as you do, whenever everything else is falling away from you.
Uh-huh.
Or you just want to have a really great time and a cheap drink.
Things are going to change if you go to the high-low.
Things are going to change. What do you mean? Oh, yeah, everything. Like, the world, like, everything's upside down.
Yeah. It's a black hole. It's a singularity.
It is. But she was sitting in there by herself, and she was, like, at one of the tables that's kind of by it's a really tiny place, those of you who haven't been there. But there's, like, those, you know, those, like, two small tables that are kind of by where the actual bar is, and, like,
Yeah.
they're just kind of...
To the left,
Yeah.
to the south.
They're just kind of to them, like, by themselves, but
Yeah.
it gets really crowded around them because
Yeah.
people are walking around because it's a really small place.
Right.
And I guess this chick had just, like, she was, like, talking to her friend and kind of, like, backed up into my sister's, like, peripheral vision. And my sister just, like, looks at her and takes a drink, like, takes a sip of her drink and then puts it down. And then just, like, with all of her might, just, like, shoves her, like,
Holy
with her
crap.
whole, like, top of her body. She's like, I want to start a bar fight right now. And then just, like, shoves this woman. And she, like, falls into her friend and then just, like, gets up and is like, what's your fucking problem? You know, like, and my sister's just like, I want to fucking fight you. You were in my area. And then, like, the lady's like, I think it's really sad that you don't have any friends.
Ooh.
And then just left. And then my sister's like, well, that was, like, the worst fight. Like,
No joke.
you know, like, I lost physically and emotionally.
Check
like,
and mate.
Yeah.
Like, all
Like,
in one
well,
move.
You're right, lady.
Wow, should have picked
She
somebody.
lost with dignity. She was like, you know what, you're
Did
right.
she? I mean, with a slightly lesser amount of dignity than she showed up with. I think
probably.
I think she should have spent a little. This is the lesson learned. She should have watched for the person taking more drinks than anybody else and looking more tipsy, so that they would have already been in that kind of anger state and ready to, like,
Well, sometimes
respond.
you can't tell, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So you have a little missing sensitivity level on the higher, like, perceiving whether somebody's fucked up, like they're drunk.
Like myself, yeah.
Yourself, yeah.
I always feel like I know other people are fucked up, but I'm like, no one can tell that I am.
Right. What
But
about
everybody thinks that.
stoned. Can you tell when somebody's stoned?
What kind of stoned?
Oh, I mean, like, hot, you know.
Yeah, like the good kind. Yeah. I mean,
what are the signs, you think? I mean, the eyes being glossy, I guess, is like. the thing.
besides the physical stuff, it's more of like, I feel like what I do is I get a little bit more withdrawn,
Mhm.
and I respond to things really, not emotionally, but like everything's so significant, you know, like they say,
Okay.
like, whenever you smoke weed for the first time, you're like, everything's so significant, you know, and
the
like
Beatles line, 1 and 1 is 3. Like, I mean, they meant other drugs, but like, you know, so you listen to Pink Floyd on pot, and like you'd heard it a million times before, but all of a sudden you're just like, it's describing the universe.
Yeah.
You know.
It's syncing up with Wizard of Oz. Like, how's that happening?
Well, goddamn, that is amazing. I've done it. Whenever we
have you ever Dark Side of Oz?
Dark Side of Oz? Oh yeah, I have. So whenever I moved to Austin, Texas, and this is back in is this the late '90s, I think. It was a cool city, but it wasn't full. So I'm just saying, I lived in Austin during the best. Weird. Well, yeah, there were weirder people than I, but I definitely kept it weird. Okay. DVDs were new, like. Oh, so it was like 2000. Late, maybe 2000. Yeah. Like it's right there at the end of the '90s and the beginning of the 2000s. Like Laserdiscs had been around, and so we had seen, you know, all of these movies be digitized and stuff, but. Pink Floyd was also like kind of blowing up and remastering and releasing a million different things. And
I do just have to interject for a second and say that I did know somebody that owned Biodome on Laserdisc.
Oh, come on. Come on. That's got to be worth some money now.
I know.
We took drugs and watched. And so we did, I think it was mushrooms.
Took drugs or smoked drugs? Oh, okay.
No, I think it was mushrooms. I mean, we really hallucinated. And so we sat there watching the clearest photos or like pictures we'd ever seen of a masterpiece. Yeah. And then the actual album, and this was our first time hearing it, the album did sync up with the movie. It really did do a thing. So, yeah, and I doubt it's intentional. Like, this is something like...
But you could probably just see what you want to see, like... Now, Wizard of Oz is the best movie ever.
I've watched it sober, and I've watched it drunk, and I've watched it, you know, various ways. I don't think it's that my brain is fried and saw those, you know, syncing up things when I was fucked up and like just took that as something special, and now it's special to me. There are some really amazing kind of coincidences, like the beginnings of songs and the types of songs that are playing during specific times. It's actually like quite phenomenal. It's like a piece of artwork. I rarely get that overwhelming. Like with pot, it makes everything kind of glistening and meaningful. Yeah. I rarely get that just looking at art regular, you know, straight-headed or whatever. Man, that sync up, like, every time I watch it, does it for me. But it's an investment. Like, do you stare at a painting for like 2.5, 3 hours and kind of like finally finish it eventually after 3 hours? No. Like, well, some people do. You do?
I've done that before. I mean, not like stoned. I've just been like... I hate you, and then I love you after 3 hours. I'm like, oh no, you're perfect.
You're perfect. Yeah. I do eventually get there with art. With art, I always keep in mind, because I've been an artist all my life, that no matter how much I dislike it in the beginning, when I see it, I eventually reflect on, you know, this person's like time and place was very specialized or very specific, and their skill level is always developing. We're always all developing or degrading. You know, that's even a more kind of beautiful, like dark, beautiful thought coming back to fall and stuff. Things dying. You know, I
don't believe that we ever got to that, and I apologize.
No, we haven't. It's okay. We'll get back to it when we come back from the break. But to wrap that part up, like as artists, you also decay. You have like shakes when you get older and stuff. Some people have dementia, you know, some people medically kind of dissolve themselves or, you know,
some people are George W. Bush and they paint dogs.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah.
Leaks.
So I have learned to appreciate some of his work. But I really...
Has he done portraits of people or is it...
Oh yeah. And I'm sorry, they weren't to my liking in the beginning, but he jumped immediately, and good for him, to like really super important things like painting soldiers who had come back, you know, injured from war and stuff like that. But they were just
a war that he.
Yeah, right.
Well.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a little bit.
Anyway.
Talk about shining a light.
Talk about 2000 and late.
Right. This makes it okay. You know, I appreciate the notion behind some of his artwork, but the execution was really poor at first, and he's done some really interesting things that like I've started to appreciate. He did a self-portrait. It wasn't really a self-portrait. It was a study of water where he just painted while he was in the bathtub, so naked, presumably. We didn't have his penis in in the painting.
dick pics.
But we had his legs and his feet and the dripping faucet. And he was like, somebody mentioned it, I think Jimmy Kimmel or somebody. They're like, what is this all about? And he was like, no, that's me. Those are my legs, and I was studying water. And to me, that's like, it is the sign of a true artist when you're sitting there like executing experiments, and it's not a big end-all point. You're not trying to freak everybody's brain out by, you're not creating Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon,
But, like, okay, like, sorry to talk about death and decay once again. Breaking Bad. Gonna make a Breaking Bad reference where Jane Margulis in season 2, she wants to take Jesse to see the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, and she's like, she has like 100 paintings of the same door. And he was like, why the fuck would she do that? That sounds really stupid. And she was like, because it looked different to her every single time she looked at it. And that's why she painted it over and over again.
Wow.
And like, I always think about that. I'm like, that's like an artist thing, is to like, my legs look different every time I'm, or whatever, like in this bathtub, like. Maybe he was really high. That could have been a thing.
I mean, God bless him if he is. Although, fuck him if he's getting high and not supporting the legalization of marijuana. I haven't looked into his position on that, so I'm not really sure what...
His current position.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot more Republicans are starting to invest in that. So, like, actually financially, but also socially or whatever. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about fall and change and death and decay and vampires, maybe. So stick around. This is Artless Nap with Anthony Pago and Heidi Klum.
Heidi Klum. Auf Wiedersehen.
Welcome back to Artless Nap. My name is Anthony Pago. This is Heidi Bell, a.k.a. Heidi Klum.
Or Heidi Klum, whichever.
Yeah. I don't actually know anything about...
feels about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure her name is like copyright.
You think so?
Righted.
Yeah, righted. Oh, God, yeah, YouTube's going to translate me saying that, and then her name's going to pop up in some transcripts or something like that.
Cool.
Oh, no.
I'll be on the, like, front page of Project Runway clips on YouTube.
Hopefully the same goes for Nicolas Cage, who stole my jacket.
Hey, did you guys know that Nicolas Cage stole his leather jacket, like,
Nicholas, you can make this right.
ago?
I'm not asking for money. I just want the leather jacket. I just want it back.
He gave it to Lisa Marie Presley on their wedding day.
I think this is what changed everything for me. I think when I worked so hard to try to get this leather jacket I wanted in New Orleans, once that was that goal, that thing I was working for, was robbed from me, I fell to the streets, and I hung with the wrong crowd. And
he started smoking marijuana.
And I saw aliens, and they touched me. No,
this is how.
This is how I turned out. Thanks, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
It's all your fault.
It's all your fault that we smoke weed, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. My parents are like, woo!
Yeah.
Thank God. It's Nicolas Cage. That wasn't our fucking doing. Yeah.
Mom would love to hear that. She'd be like, okay, I'm just going to bill Nicolas Cage on our next therapist bill. Send it to Nicolas Cage.
He's probably such a nice guy. Like, he'd be like, fine, I'll
do you think he's nice? I feel like he's, like, weird. Like...
Yeah, but I'm weird.
And not because he chooses weird. No, I mean, like, he's, like... He's weird in a way that's, like... He would go to Starbucks and not order, like, anything that Starbucks would have, but, like, would want them to accommodate him. But not because he's Nicolas Cage, but because he's fucking weird. Like...
Okay, I'm gonna need 2 of those egg patty things, and then I want to put coffee grounds in between them. And I want some
But not even
cheese.
that. Like, he would order, like sweet and sour chicken or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And, like, because he's like, but I want it from you,
really?
Starbucks.
Wow.
Like, I feel like he's that intense of a person. And not because he's like, I'm Nicolas Cage, whatever. I'm a Coppola, by the way. Like, not like that, but because he's just, like, kind of weird. That, like, even if he wasn't a Coppola, he would still be fucking weird.
Okay, so maybe... Okay, so I didn't realize he was a Coppola. Somebody told me that.
You didn't
Somebody
know
told
that?
me that he was, like, a son or a nephew
He's
or
Francis Ford
something.
Coppola's nephew.
Okay, so he's a nephew. So the other day I watched, for another podcast personality, The Outsiders. And so I had not seen The Outsiders until...
Like, hold on, wait.
Yeah, the
podcast
movie.
you're talking about?
Of mine, Artless Nap, I think number 18 or something. But Brandy Sanders talks about The Outsiders, and she said that, like, you need to watch this movie. Maybe that's number 19.
I can't believe you're like you weren't in school and they didn't make you watch The Outsiders because
See,
we had to watch it
that's what
like
I've heard
every
now.
year.
I read that once online, and then Amber said the same thing. She said that she, or somebody came over and said like, we watched that in school.
Yeah.
So no, we didn't. I mean,
all
maybe,
the time.
Look, I also used to like skip school sometimes, and also
On Outsiders Day every year,
Right.
turns out.
right, that would be hilarious. Most of the time, though, kind of less cool. Like would be I was in the library fixing their computers because I was the one guy in school who could do anything to the computers other than an adult. Well, there was one guy. I don't remember his name, but I remember what he looks like: glasses and a big bird nose, and kind of fat and gray hair. And he was older, and he retired. And they had nobody for like a year and a half. And anytime something went down that the librarian couldn't do, I would get called in. And I would like, at that point, lie to teachers and be like, they want me in the library. Because they all knew that I was the guy who fixed.
That's like the best lie. They wanted my help in the library. They didn't tell you. They do this all the time.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to talk to Janet right away.
I want to feel guilty. I do feel a little guilt, but I don't feel huge amounts of guilt.
Don't, because that's a great, like, that's a really good lie. I mean, like, like serial killer kids learn how to lie really well too, but like it's still a good like thing to know. It's like,
so I might be a burgeoning serial. I've not killed anybody. I mean, I wouldn't tell you if I was a serial killer.
I've never killed anybody either, just for the sake of legality. As far as I know.
Yeah, we joke a lot on Artless Snap, but yeah, not about our disclaimers. Our disclaimers are all real.
Yeah.
So we do not murder people, and
we know of.
Yeah, we know that's true. Yeah, but that's manslaughter or whatever, like unintentional bullshit.
I mean, I have some shit to say about manslaughter, but...
What is it? Come on.
I don't know if we should talk about it on Artless Snap. You can edit it out.
No, we can talk about fall stuff and school starting and things changing, or we can talk about manslaughter. What do you think?
Let's talk about both. It's the fall.
Uh-huh. Do you like...
You know what? Okay, I will say that there is one thing, because I always hated fall, because when I was growing up, I hated school. I hated fucking going to school. I hated autumn because it meant school.
Right, I was going to start with school.
And I had really bad seasonal depression as a kid, too. So, like, winter, like, fucking bummed me out.
Right.
And still kind of hate winter. But, like... Autumn's cool because we get all those really cool holidays. Like, there's the candy holiday, the spooky candy holiday, and then the fucking eating holiday. And so, like,
yeah,
it's not horrible. Like, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, Christmas is like just a couple weeks after, fall's kind of
and it's
noticeably
fine.
over. You don't like Christmas?
No, I mean, Christmas is fine. It's always, like, I have a huge family. I mean, like, at least 70 people coming over to my mom's house on Christmas Day.
Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot of stress.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Yeah,
like,
I couldn't deal with
to
that.
say the least. But I mean, Thanksgiving's the same,
Yeah.
But the whole thing is just like we're all getting together because we're gonna eat this giant meal and like chill.
Right.
And that's like a lot more fun than like the pressure of like bring a present or everyone's gonna hate you. you know?
Well, my family's done a really good job at kind of minimizing the present obligations to not make people feel
I have a knot in my drink.
well, to not take away people's rent money and medical bill money and kid money and stuff like that. But still, somehow we have 15 people at most usually in the house.
15?
Yeah, probably
God, that
15.
sounds like
dude,
the best holiday.
I know you would think so, but like we somehow
I guess 15 makes it smaller enough to where you have to have a conversation with every single person, and that might be really bad.
Even being in a room next to somebody else who has like different political views or like something makes it. I think our family just has like both sets of the genes or whatever. All the sets have that anxiety thing where you'll say it out loud and be an asshole, and
Yeah.
But you'll also sit in the other room and let it like fester and stuff, and it makes everybody, because everybody does it in different cycles. Some people skip a holiday and making a show of their beliefs or whatever. But you can feel it in the air with like 15 people, and it's just, for me at least, maybe I'm out, the odd dog out, and I'm the one feeling all this shit. Maybe it's made up in my head or whatever. I think it's real, and I think we're all kind of
It's
slightly
real in every
uncomfortable.
family because, like I said, 70 people in my holidays, and the tension's still there.
Yeah. Which is really those are the speed bumps in fall for me. Fall is my favorite. The changeover, the one that goes to decaying leaf smells, and like.
I feel like it's kind of this sounds really weird, but what I've noticed that I feel like it's kind of like an introvert's like favorite holiday. Like, I know that that's not a holiday, it's like a season, but it's like an introvert's like holiday, like because people are now realizing, I don't want to go out as much because now it's chilling, it's getting kind of cold, and I just want to stay in, and it's like, it's just so cold outside, I don't want to leave the house, wink wink, it's only 65 degrees, it's just so cold, I just don't want to leave the house, staying in, like I feel like fall, autumn, whatever, it's like the time of year that introverts really, really relish.
Right.
If not winter, but like I said, winter sucks for me. Anyway, I don't like it. I hate snow. I've hated snow my whole life. I really like it when it snows here because I like an excuse to not do anything for a day. I love that. That's really cool. But that's the only thing I like about it. Like, I don't want to play in it. I don't want to ski in it.
Yeah.
I don't want to build a fucking snowman. I don't like snow.
Being poor kind of sucks when you don't have like a really well insulated house, and I'm not like impoverished poor. I've just been an artist all my life. So like, I'm not in the 1%, I'm not in the middle, I'm not in the lower middle. I'm like somewhere in the lower segment. I don't know where, some spectrum of the lower segment. Being cold sucks because, your options are like an electric blanket if you have that.
If it's 2009, you have a Snuggie.
Yeah.
Speaking of 2008, you have a Snuggie. Takes care of all your cold problems.
I'm too messy for the Snuggie. I like a dress. I'm not used to like the dress cut thing. I'll trip all over myself and spill stuff. I won't grab things right, and it will go awry very quickly. The thing that I like most about winter and fall, when you're talking about like, I remember doing like those little posts on MySpace, Facebook, Zanga, that talked about like, introverts feel this way, or extroverts now they're doing extrovert memes and stuff like that.
Or in extro.
Like now we add hyphens and we now
intro
it's a spectrum.
extroverts.
Yeah, but that's the reality of the situation. Is like everybody feels sometimes like being alone. Everybody feels sometimes like being somewhat social.
Like everybody, like I know it's weird to a lot of people, but people who are outgoing can also be really introspective. Totally. And vice versa. People who are like, I don't know how that's vice versa, but like people who are really introverted can also be outgoing, I guess. Like expressive, So like, I hate this talk of like being one or the other, because it's like shyness is something that is different than being afraid. Yeah.
Anxiety for groups or yourself, I guess.
And like, I feel like I'm shy. I have really high anxiety all the time. I have horrible social anxiety. I don't go to concerts anymore. Like, sorry, all of my friends that like invite me to shows, and I'll go to them sometimes, but it's only I have to like psych myself up a lot first, because I just have like really bad crowd anxiety. I like being like, if I'm like, I don't want to be behind because I want to be able to see the show, but like I'm gonna be like on the very farthest right or left, whichever way the is nearest to the exit. Yeah. So, I can just like leave whenever I feel overwhelmed. Right.
I'm kind of the same way. I used to be the up front in the middle, or do the pit and like dance around. I was
a mosh pit starter. Like.
But as an adult for the last like 10, 15 years, if I'm watching somebody, if you view the crowd that's butted up against the stage as like a blob, usually the furthest left, where the blob starts to arc out but ends, so it comes back around to go further back. Like, I don't know how to explain that to the viewers or anything like that, but when the crowd thins out in front of the speakers, because some people don't like that stuff in their head and stuff like that, I'll sit right just past where it's blaring, and we'll be able to see the people who are singing and drumming, and we can see their feet.
I mean, that's how I feel. Like, I can still see the stage, I can still see what's going on. I'm out of the crowd, though, because everyone's like rushing to the middle, and I'm like on the edge, and I can leave whenever I feel weird.
They're fast. Usually you're fighting people who are walking to the bathroom or to get concessions or coming in or out.
Right.
And that's it. And you can go really fast. Yeah.
And I think, honestly, like, the last, like, concert that I went to was in 2016. I went to go see Bleached, which, if you've never heard of Bleached, they're one of my favorite bands. I have a really short list of bands that I have to see if they ever, like, come near me, and that was on my list, and I got to see them.
Yeah.
At the Conservatory, which is now the 89th Street Collective.
Oh, right. Yeah. I love that place.
It's great. And their bathroom hadn't changed at all, really.
It smells still. Oh, great.
Well, no, there wasn't really, like, a mirror in it, and, like, or really, like, a door on the stall. But there were 2 stalls, at least this time, and the stall next to me, the lead singer of Bleached, was changing into, like, her, like, outfit that she was going to wear for the show.
Yeah.
And I helped her with her shirt.
So the men's bathroom at the Conservatory, back when I went there, 89th Collective or whatever, looked like, instead of every night cleaning the men's urinal, the stand-up urinal.
Oh, I just want to say that I did go there before that, when it was the Conservatory, and the first time I went was in 2007.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the first time I'd ever gone for Disco Bloodbath way back in the day. But we talked about that last time. Anyway.
No, we can give a shout-out to Disco Bloodbath again,
yeah.
It looks like instead of cleaning it, somebody would just, like, slap up 40 or 50 tea bags against the urinal and then pee on that so it sticks against the wall and let it sit overnight, and they just kind of scrape that out later.
Took a palette scraper or a palette knife and just scraped off.
Just to make sure it's nice and stained and looks like somebody's kidneys are failing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're going through chemotherapy.
And it smells like it too.
Show.
Oh God, yeah. And I because I went there a lot, at least back then. These weren't old dudes who were like 60 and 70 hanging out, with their retirement funds, like peeing with failing organs into the urinal. These are like 18 punks. Through 25-year-olds usually, maybe up to 30.
I would say probably 30 at the time.
Up to 30. I think 30-ish, young 30s was about the time people would stop going there because they're all raising kids and, saving their money and trying not to look like an idiot in public and stuff. So, yeah, I think that it was mostly young kids, and like I would constantly walk into that room and be like, that smell, that is like not okay for people of this age. You should smell a little fresher, maybe.
They need to go through with some Lysol and just spray across those tea-stained walls.
Uh-huh. And that was the day I started appreciating the shows where they renovate spaces.
Dude, Bar Rescue. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because I always get that name wrong on purpose. My sister and I spent a whole Christmas day together just watching Bar Rescue.
Nice. Yeah.
And it was the best.
Look how old are we? We're like, we're going to watch the inside of bars and stuff.
Yeah.
And still get the same thrill out of it. You're like,
and watch people renovate fucking bars in, Iowa or whatever.
Like, there's the first stall somebody pulls somebody into to fuck them during the middle of a show, and there's where they do the coke, and it's gross. You see the back of the toilets.
You can see all of the, like, lines in the porcelain from the razor blades. Just
And then, like, who has time to do art in bathrooms? I don't think I haven't. I've never sat down and made art or, like, wrote a poem or recited a poem.
I've probably done it before, like,
oh,
being, like, in middle school and you're, like, trying to cut class as best as you can whenever you're in middle school. And so you pretend like you're sick, and then you just, like, hang out in the bathroom with your friends.
That is so cliche. You didn't think... I mean, I know kids are dumb, but, like, hanging out in the bathroom?
Where else are we going to go?
But that's the first emergency place they're going to look that's semi-normal. They're going to be like, oh, maybe they got the shits. Maybe they threw up. Kid might be sick. We'll go look in the bathroom.
We're just writing on the bathroom walls.
Uh-huh.
One time, my friends and I were, like, coming from our lunch break to, like, go back to class, and we thought it would be really funny because I had a bag of Skittles in my pocket we had a pad. One of us had a pad because of course we did, because middle school, whatever, you keep them on you at all times because somebody's gonna need one,
right?
And so my friend had a pad, I had Skittles. I licked a red Skittle and rubbed it all over per pad, and then we stuck it on the front door on the back of the door of the like opening for like the girls' bathroom, and then we ran out, and then like the rest of the day everyone was like, did you see that somebody stuck a bloody pad on the door of the women's restroom? And we thought we were legends, and we were so cool.
So I finally figured out why you have a podcast dedicated to kind of advancing or criticizing the misogynistic inclusions in old rom-coms. And it's because back when you were a kid, we're all little shits.
Yeah.
Back when you were a little shit, you were willing to and did bully a woman for absolutely natural, just fucking natural body.
No, I didn't bully her. Like, we thought it would be funny to have it, like, I wasn't bullying anybody, by the way.
Oh, okay, all right.
No.
Right.
We had, like,
right.
We were hanging out in the stall, and we were like, wouldn't it be funny if we made it look like this pad was bloody?
She compliantly gave
she gave me a pad, and I had these red Skittles.
Okay. See, I don't
and
know
so I rubbed it on the pad.
I don't know if,
and stuck
like,
it
girls
on the
write their names on their pads so that, you don't steal it. Like, you write your name. Like
No, like, the thing about, like, we have a great system, women do. And no matter what, girl, if you need a pad, boy, if you need a pad, whatever, we're gonna fucking give you a pad. Whoever you are. If you need a pad, we'll give you a pad.
Right.
Like, you can steal our pads if you want to. Like, we do not give a shit. We have a great system. I've never experienced anything where a woman was offended or pissed off that somebody took a pad from them. Like, unless they needed it at the time.
It's always given willingly.
Yeah,
It's
always.
not a big deal.
And if somebody's in need of somebody who's menstruating that needs a pad, like, or a tampon or whatever, like, whatever they use, like I've never met a woman that's like, I'm never giving them a pad.
Right.
You know.
I remember being grateful once during wrestling. We usually had in the emergency box a couple small tampons that you could stick up your nose when somebody cross-armed barred you and
absorbs blood. Like, that's
really
what it's
well.
made for.
I mean, it stopped your nosebleeds immediately. I remember asking a girl, like, I don't know where the kit is right now. Do you have, like, quick, do you have a tampon? And yeah, there was, like, gladly given nothing.
Did you have nosebleeds as a kid?
Once in a while. Not like, I had allergies, so yeah, I dried out, and I also got super mucusy. I know this is a lovely conversation. But yeah, I would, like, sometimes dry out and bleed and stuff. Yeah.
I never had a nosebleed.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been punched in the face. Like I said, I used to be the mosh pit girl, or at least thought I was, when I was like a young teenager. Thought I was cool. Been punched in the face a couple times. I've never had a nosebleed. Don't make my nose bleed. super internostril genetics. Like, we need to clone the... I guess so.
Mucus, like the thickness of the skin or whatever the membrane is that goes close to those.
I don't know which one of my parents has never had a nosebleed, but it's one of them. I got it from them.
Thanks, mom or dad.
Thanks, mom or dad, or dad.
Yeah, no joke. Or a mailman. No, I'm absolutely teasing. Although I do like to bring up the genetic shit. So have you done the tests? Have I asked you that? Have you done the...
I have not.
Yeah.
We actually, a couple Christmases ago, my sisters and I pulled together and we got our mom a DNA kit.
Yeah, and she's used it?
Yeah.
And how did she feel?
Well, we got it for her, we gave it to her on Thanksgiving because there's like a couple weeks where it's being tested, and we had her open it on Christmas Day. So
cool.
That was her Christmas present, was like finding out her results.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
like,
that makes more sense, yeah.
Yeah, so she got her results back in a couple weeks, but we made her like not look at it until,
I guess if you do it earlier, then it's kind of like having like a gender reveal party, but like the day you find out they're pregnant, so like it's just a question mark when you open up the,
It's like, there's a bunch of balloons. Fuck you. Gender's a social construct, or whatever.
Yeah. If you're those parents, you can just do that on the first day. You'd be like, it doesn't fucking matter. That's our gender reveal.
Matter. Oh, we cut into this cake. It's green. Because it could be anything. Who gives a shit?
Hopefully it will be. Well, congratulations to anybody who's pregnant and listening to the podcast and is having concerns about their, gender reveals or the health of their baby, because I'm sure everybody does. Everybody worries about, will it have 10 toes?
I worry about that, and I'm never going to have kids. Right. I still am like, if I had a kid, would it have half of a head?
Well, no,
And would it be okay if it did?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Am I going to be able to,
I fully see you, like, carving out a cool helmet and then, like, with their, like, personality type, making rock star, 3/4 skull-sized.
It's going through, like, okay, so speaking of my other podcast, 2000 and Late, right now, the first episodes that we're doing, we are talking about the ever so lovely television show that's, I think, first aired in either late 2006 or early 2007, Rock of Love with Bret Michaels on VH1. And he wears a lot of, like, flamed gear.
Okay.
Like, his cowboy hats have, like, flames on it if it doesn't have, like, an American flag.
Okay.
Okay. And so, like, you know, if my kid's going through his Bret Michaels phase,
Right.
which, you know, they always do,
Uh-huh.
you know, I'd spray paint some flames on the side.
Oh, you're
just,
so nice.
You know.
Uh-huh. Would you buy him body axe? Or
Yeah.
body axe, X body?
Yeah.
Whatever.
And I would be like, you can play with this outside only. This is an outside only toy.
We gotta wash you off.
Yeah. We have to wash you off. Oh, you want this fucking Ed Hardy t-shirt?
You just have
Not in my house.
I just picture the
That's where I draw the line.
the car wash, like, jail scrub thing. get in the shower. You asked for this.
With your Axe body spray.
I made some poor choices with cologne when I was a kid.
Oh, who didn't?
Oh,
I wore Amber Romance, like, from the time I hit puberty until I was, like, 22.
Yeah.
Like, because you don't know any better. Like, you're just like, whatever, it smells nice.
Yeah, I mean, I could kind of top that. I bought cologne off the back of a car at a gas station and probably used that for like 3 years, 4 years or something.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
That's way better than me buying $6 body spray from Victoria's Secret for years and years.
Wore it to space camp, but I had crushes, and there were a couple crushes on me.
Yeah.
So I guess women are very able to look beyond certain characteristics.
I love that smell. What is it? Fake curve?
Yep. Dracar Noir.
Dracar not noir? I don't know. What's the opposite of that? I didn't
Dracar
take-
Merde, which is
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, there you go. You drank my drink. Is that cool?
Oh, shit. Sorry.
It's okay.
That's actually my cup. I mean, in usual ownership,
I mean, it
terms.
is. I'm at
Yeah.
his house.
Right.
Studio, I mean.
Let me ask you about. So, do you remember? Oh no, you had the name of the movie earlier. The vampire movie back in California in the
Lost Boys.
80s, Lost Boys.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you remember? You remember the movie well enough to talk about it a little bit?
Do I remember that movie well enough? That's the question. Do I?
Okay, so what do you?
Do I
okay.
need to recite it? 'Cause I
Okay,
can do-
well,
I'm
no,
just
please
kidding.
don't do that. So,
Yeah,
okay, we'll
I
start
don't wanna
first
do
with
that.
we'll start first with the music and
Okay.
not go into the film first.
Okay,
Like music.
cool.
So like thou shalt not kill. You know.
Yeah.
So pretty dark and like dramatic. It's like watching Phantom of the Opera for the first time ever.
Yeah,
in a
and
movie.
it like fades like over. It's like over the ocean, and like the title credits like fade into like thou shalt. You know, like that's cool. Like that. I'm always like yes. I've seen that movie like 3 times in the theater just because I always love to go to like. I've seen it like probably 1,000 times total,
my
but
God.
like only 3 times in the theater, and I love it every time, especially like when it's going over the water and it's like playing that song and like the title like, you know, comes across the screen and you're like, yes, I'm about to watch some vampires. Chew a guy's scalp off.
Right. I mean, it's exciting, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my question
Yes,
for you about the movie.
absolutely.
And then we can talk about the movie, and I'm sure
I
you've
would love
dissected
to.
it in a million
Yes.
different ways. But here's my question to you.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a vampire group, cult, whatever you call, like, are they called a murder? A murder of vampires, you know, like a flock of, a herd of vampires? Like, what's a flock of bats? Like
I was about to ask you that because I was going to say that's what they would be.
a grouping?
I should
don't
know this. I'm a bat lady. Like, I should know.
So in my mind, I think, after watching it again a couple
Yeah.
days ago, or like a week ago now, it's a vampire cult for Jim Morrison. Or
Thank you.
Or
No.
Or hold on, the old guy who's now the business dude who tries to get
Max.
the mom.
Yeah.
Max is Jim Morrison, who faked his own death and became.
You know what I think?
He fits the age.
Okay, here's the 3 things. Here's the 3 things about this movie that I'm like, Jim Morrison.
Uh huh.
First of all, the opening fucking song is People Are Strange.
Right.
Covered by Echo and the Bunnymen, which is a great cover.
Oh, God.
Love Echo and the Bunnymen.
Yeah.
Anyway, who doesn't? 2, the most obvious one, besides the song, is that in their vampire lair, there's a giant fucking tapestry of Jim Morrison's
Like the biggest ever.
Yeah. There's never been one that existed that's bigger.
Right.
Okay, and then 3, Jason Patrick looks exactly like Jim Morrison.
They also...
Exactly like him. Exactly. Like, he's got the same hair.
They picked him because of it. He's their newest... He's
so,
like Jesus
hold on.
for them.
Is Joel Schumacher...
the
director.
Oh, okay.
The guy who directed all the shitty Batmans in the 90s.
Oh, really? That
Yeah.
fuckers? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the Lost Boys.
Really?
And, yes. So... He's a huge Doors fan, right?
Clearly.
Like, that's clearly, like, that has to be...
So he's forever 19, or he's forever 20, whatever age you decide to grow up and not like the Doors. So 22.
Well, he loved the Doors. Well, yeah, I don't know.
I'm just saying, when do you mature beyond? I mean, that explains...
I don't know if I ever liked the Doors in the first place.
Well, I had shitty taste, but I grew out of it, so... but look, really, like, this is like, it did not go unnoticed on me that the lead new vampire looks exactly like Jim Morrison. So, in my mind, the writing, like, you're not talking about the dialogue at this point, you're talking about the description before they do the casting call.
Yeah.
They're like, Jim Morrison
He's got to look like a baby Jim Morrison.
Yeah, and they've got the wall.
With blue eyes.
So and they've got the altar. There's like it is an altar. It's got like steps up. It's like a Mexican or like a Catholic.
Why the fuck would 1988 vampires like Jim Morrison?
Welcome back to Artless Snap. We took a short break. We were talking about the vampire movie from the 80s called...
The only vampire movie from the 80s, The Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys.
Yes.
Who had Kiefer
Sutherland. They are a Canadian empire, my friend.
Okay.
That family.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, of actors or like...
Yeah, like Donald Sutherland.
Oh, really?
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, they look
I mean, I
exactly
guess
alike.
there's only 2 of them. Maybe there's more. I don't know.
You can be an empire with just 2 people.
I think you can. Especially in Canada. I think it's possible.
So, I watched this movie again a couple days ago, and yeah, the first thing I noticed was the Jim Morrison, because like, I maybe now kind of have a disdain for the Doors. The poetry's lazy. The songs aren't, like, forever for me. Like, there's some music that I can hear forever, and I will be fine with it, or be elated by it. Now it's just like... Yeah, it's like hearing radio music or something. And I'm not just talking about the People Are Strange, like the
or
common
the songs
ones.
that they play in.
No, I'm talking about the whole catalog. So
he was only 27 when he died, so he had to have been like 22, 23, 24 when he's writing all the Doors music.
But he didn't. Ray Manzarek, the keyboardist, wrote and performed. Like, he went off the deep end taking drugs and didn't show up for concerts. And Ray would... I believe it's Ray. We'll have to fact check this later, but it's the keyboardist.
You tell us, America.
He could imitate Jim Morrison's voice so well that people didn't give a shit or didn't notice because there were so many in the crowd drunk or whatever.
Was he the one that took his dick out on stage? Got them banned from wherever it was. It was probably him.
Yeah, right.
It was just like, yeah, I'm totally Jim Morrison.
No, from what I understand, he was the nerdy like composer type who wrote all the songs and did everything. And Jim was, be it talented. Was just the pretty boy face, and he got to live his rock and roll luxury life, and he had the luxury of trying to become Buddha and all that stuff, and got to be opulent while doing it.
For a very short time, holy hell.
Yeah, that's true. For a very short time, I think maybe he would have grown into a better poet, but I'm pretty saddened by, I guess, like the selfishness of a lot of his work. Because I've experienced it some of myself. I've been selfish. It's just a reflection on who I am and where I've gone with my own stuff. But I'm not the biggest fan anymore. And so I watched this movie, and I was like, oh yeah, they have the big... And back when I saw it the first time, it's just a poster on the wall. They're rock and roll, they're
rock
punks,
and roll,
they're skaters, and like
They have mullets,
they're in the sewer
piercings,
or whatever.
They have leather jackets and dirt bikes.
Yeah, but if you really look at it from an adult perspective, that is a church. It's designed like a church. I mean, I know vampires have that kind of connotation, like the evil Satanistic church. But dude, at the top of the altar is the guy who celebrated, and clearly that's like the intention, or at least the implied intention. He was Bacchus. He was the guy who worshipped the god of excess, who worshipped
which is what like vampires are.
Right. But I still feel like, because of the music, because of the whole altar, and like I like the idea that like maybe the lead vampire, that Sam or whatever his name is, Max was Jim Morrison, who faked his death or turned into a vampire and disappeared. And he made himself out to be he hid himself by becoming everyday dad in America.
And he was like, I'm going to woo Diane Wiest so no one thinks any. I don't know. I think Diane Wiest is a very attractive woman, especially in the 80s.
Right. Well, he wanted more than anything a family. And what did Jim Morrison not have?
A hound of hell.
That's
named
true.
Thorn.
That's true. He got that too.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough, because he wanted the wife, he wanted the family. That's what he says around I think that was like when the mom found out and they were on the kitchen table, and he finally shows his devil face, and he's like, it would have been perfect if it weren't for you meddling kids.
And Nanook is Scooby-Doo the whole time. Like, he takes his husky mask off, and he's a Great Dane named Scooby, and he's like, fucking got you.
Roll credits.
Yeah.
So
here's
a sub question then. So if and what's the son's name that gets turned?
Michael.
So if Michael...
They're only noodles, Michael.
If Michael is like the re-embodiment, so if this is a cult that's like a Doors cult, a Jim Morrison cult, right? So this is a Jim Morrison cult, and like maybe the dad isn't really Jim Morrison, but they totally worship Jim Morrison. Like, this is their Bacchus. This is their embodiment.
Or their payment for all the people who have seen Hereditary.
Okay, that's like their god, their, Satanistic,
spoiler alert
pagan...
if you haven't. You should probably put spoilers about that.
Yeah, I will. Okay, all right, I'll put those down. If this is really their cult, and they're trying to bring back Jim Morrison, right? Like, this is Jim Morrison, and we have to turn him and make Jim Morrison like the most badass vampire, and this will like bring us the Armageddon of, humanity, and we will rule.
But he was only half vampire.
Michael, he drank the blood, so he has to become full vampire by killing and drinking the blood after he does that, right? But so this is my question: does he redeem himself in the end? Is this the point? So when the grandpa runs the I think a station wagon, or like the some sort of,
it was like a Jeep or something.
Yeah, so he runs it through the wall, and it's got like the posts on it, stakes.
And he's like, that's what I couldn't stand about living in Santa Carla. All the damn vampires.
Yeah. He knows Gramps knows what's up.
Yeah.
But Gramps doesn't manage to shoot off the killing shot just by running into the wall and the wood sliding off of the car into the heart of what's his name? Not
Max.
Sam, Max. What happens is Michael decides to push Max into the way, because he's got hyper vision and slow down time powers, because he's a vampire. He's agile, he's quick, he's powerful.
And his reflection's only translucent. Not transparent. Like, you can see his reflection still.
Looks like a ghost.
Yeah.
He's the one who pushes Max into the path of an already projectiled piece of wood. So the kill shot wasn't made by Grandpa. And the dog, as a kid, I thought the dog, I just remembered the dog maybe saving the day. Surely the dog started the whole,
well, he's
getting
the
things
one
done.
that saved Sam, the little brother, Corey Haim, from the older brother.
Okay.
Because the older brother was getting the vampire pangs, and he was like, I have to kill somebody, and the nearest person is my little brother. I'm going to go upstairs.
And he turned.
And kill him, but he was starting to turn, and then Nanook attacked him because he tried to... He was going
Well, he recognized the beast.
Yeah. Yeah. So he knew that Michael was bad.
Right.
So that could have been a thing. That could have been it. Like, Nanook probably set the trap and was like, he was like, I'm a dog, so, like, I don't know who the head vampire is, but I'm just going to kill this guy, so I'm going to set this thing up.
Right.
And he probably intended for Michael to die.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, maybe, if that's what you're saying, like, he's the one that, like...
Well, I said as a kid I thought Nanook was the star of the show, and I had to watch it again.
I did too.
And I thought that he was the one who kind of, like, ended up beating the... Sam, damn it, why am I struggling with his name? It's Max. So Max, I thought the dog somehow like fucked up Max and got him into the path, or like distracted him while the big logs that were pointy went through his chest. Mm-hmm. So later to find out, to watch it a couple days ago, that it was Michael. So Michael, in my mind, if Jim Morrison was guilty for writing all this bad poetry and this bad music and condemning the world to misnomers and drug use and how hipsters and everybody behaves who's growing long hair and being different, if he's guilty of that, does he redeem himself if this is the new embodiment? The vampires picked right. This is the new rebirth of Jim Morrison. He did come back. And Jim Morrison, instead of succumbing to Bacchus and all things carnal and forever, like he wrote about, maybe this is him redeeming himself by choosing family, something beyond rock and roll.
I don't know, like, Jim Morrison out of all of them, like... not that, whatever, if you're a Doors fan, that's fine.
Does this reduce the quality of the movie if all of a sudden it's just about Jim Morrison?
Yeah, because I love this movie, and it's part of my childhood. Like, when I was a kid, like, that movie came out a year before I was born, mm-hmm. but I watched it a lot when I was a kid, and I lived not really near what is it? Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
I didn't really live... I was going to call it Santa Claus, because that's what it's called.
Santa Claus.
But it... that's where it was filmed. It was filmed in Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And, like... Or at least part of it was. And, like... When I was a kid, after I'd seen it, I'd been to Santa Cruz and a few times, and I thought that was, like, super cool.
Yeah.
But... Like... I don't know. Like, I feel like there's cooler things than... Jim Morrison on Santa Cruz, like, like, if you're gonna, like, start a cult, like, why would it be...
Okay, so that only leads to, I think, the logical question. If you were...
that was an illogical answer.
Forced to create a cult, like, you have to save your family or all of mankind or something, forced to create a cult based on a celebrity, you had to make it convincing, like Ron L. Hubbard did, like, Scientology and mm-hmm. shit, like, you write out a backstory and...
I mean, but he started Scientology himself. It wasn't like people started around him. Like, they took it over. Yeah,
but
he started
the thing goes, he
started the legends.
He had a bet that he could create a religion, which I think is a dangerous toy to play with. You're just like, haha, I'm going to go ahead and...
So what celebrity should we start a religion around? Is what you're asking me? Because I already have, like, the perfect fucking
Dolly
answer.
Parton. Who is it?
I was gonna say fucking Dolly Parton. I swear to God, she's the purest being on this earth. Like, why isn't there a Partonism?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, maybe we're starting it right now. I mean, maybe the universe is speaking through us, and we are the
title of
vessels.
this episode is Partonism.
Partonism.
Dolly Parton.
The birth of the religion, the true.
May Dolly be with you.
Yeah.
And Dulce with you.
So, what are our symbols? I mean, are they her boobs or?
No.
Okay.
I did go a little bit deeper than that and say her hair.
Her hair. You are so right.
Mm-hmm.
The hair is the symbol. That's on the cover of the book, and it's just the hair.
Like, if it was a religion around, like, Christina Peterson, who is Elvira.
Yeah.
She's like the goth slutty Dolly Parton.
So that'd be her cleavage, not just her boobs.
Not her boobs, it'd be her cleavage, right? Like,
right, yeah, cleavage lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the hair, I like the hair, because then instead of doing the holy water when you walk in and you, like, because that's filthy, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could have some antibacterial material to weave into a big
there's
hair.
so much germs in that holy water.
Right? So you just make like an...
That's why the Lost Boys got burned by it, by the way.
Right.
It's E. coli, not... But it was holy.
you process salmonella faster and just shit yourself to death.
Yeah, but heightened immune system.
I like the Dollywood. So Dollywood would be Mecca.
Yeah.
And what would you sell? Like, would you sell merchandise, or would she just give books to needy people who?
That's what she would do.
Yeah.
That would be everything. Like, there will never be a day where Dolly passes on into the other world.
Yeah.
But if it were to happen, that's what the Church of Dolly would do would be to give books away to kids that need them and to, you know, just be the best person you can be. I feel like she would say something like that. I don't know. Like,
yeah, I can't do the accent. I've tried.
I can't do a Dolly Parton.
We already have experience on Artless Nap with my really piss poor accent, or like just impersonations.
Mine too. I have really bad ones.
Yeah,
not like offensive, but just I'm really bad at doing Southern accents.
Yeah, I've got the like one, and it's not Dolly based. It's just like an older. So I say older. We're that age now. 30s, 40s, 50s, Southern woman who is just happy as shit all the time. Hey y'all,
hey y'all,
y'all come around now. I just made some pie. We can come over.
What's that? Oh man, what's that lady's name? What's her name? I bet it's like Patricia.
Not Arquette. That's the only Patricia I can think of.
No, but I mean, like that lady's name's like Patricia or like.
Oh, fictionally.
You know, like her name, like that lady's name.
Patty Bell. My name's Patty Bell.
No, because Patty Bell like exists, and I'm a Bell.
All right. Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, I'm a Clume. I mean, Kansas.
Well, George Peach. Like, nah, it's kind of stripperish, but you know.
No, that's It'd have to be like not like something Lynn. You know, like.
Well, Jamie Lynn, like...
Patty Lynn, maybe.
Patty Lynn? Clemmy Lynn?
No. Her name's like... I don't know. Shit. What is that woman's name? She's got a name.
All right,
She's
let's figure this out. We can do character development. So what does she like to wear? What's she like to wear?
Okay, so if I'm thinking of this woman correctly... Which you may be thinking of two different women. Because sure. I'm thinking about her being about between the ages of 35 to 45.
That was exactly where I pictured it, yeah.
So she has a bob haircut that is like from here to here. And it's like...
Oh, that's the may I speak to the manager, but southerned. Like,
yes.
Bigger and southerned.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to make it even more like Midwesterny southern like we are in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
It is like... There's like blonde stripes over red stripes.
Absolutely.
And this person, I don't know what her name is, but she has at least one kid named Miranda.
Miranda, of course.
You know, like I feel like she's got, or like one of the middle names is Miranda. Because I just hear her yelling the name of Miranda in my head, you know,
right.
And she really loves Brad Paisley, and she's wearing, I don't know what her she's probably wearing a Sooner shirt or whatever college football.
Totally, because it's now fall and there's game days coming on.
She's got to wear she's got to support those boys.
But she does like she might not actually go to the game, but she'll definitely go to the, what do they call them when you sit on the back of a pickup truck? Like
tailgating.
Yeah, she tailgates. Yeah,
she definitely tailgates. And she, also her jeans are a little bit flared at the bottom, and she's wearing flip-flops that have rhinestones on them, and the butt of her jeans has a rhinestone cross on it.
What's she wear? Perfume? What's the smell?
She wears Romance by Ralph Lauren.
Oh, God. All right.
And her purse has a rhinestone cross on it, or a rhinestone emblem of whatever college team she lives nearby.
Right. Does she call herself a single mom?
No, because she's not. She's been married. It's her second husband.
All right.
Well, it's really her first husband because her first two kids were by her boyfriend from high school, but they never got married. And so, like, yeah, her husband, yes, she's married.
Right.
And her husband's name is, like...
Mike.
I was going to say Mike. Fuck, Mike. Yes, his name's Mike. Her name's, like... Because, like, Deborah's too easy, but I want to say Deborah.
Deborah's pretty good. Debbie.
It's just too easy, though.
Yeah.
You know, it's just...
Yeah. I just don't... I don't know, because there are so many names that now I've met respectable people who have them, like Jennifer or whatever. Like, I now know too many of them where I'm like, no, you're great. You're actually great people.
Yeah.
I can't pick a name that's, like, not got one of my friends.
Yeah, that I know somebody that's, like... kind of cool, you know,
right.
like, but like I said, like Debbie's too easy, but like I know this woman's name, but I can't I can't figure it out.
Yeah,
but
if you got a name for us, people, you can email us.
I also definitely think that she is, like, super racist.
Yep, definitely.
But she also, like says that her kids are Native American.
Right, no, she's not, like, she doesn't think she's racist.
No.
She thinks because she has some people of color, mixed color, or black friends.
Exactly.
Like, that makes her not racist.
Yeah, exactly.
So even if you support racist ideals, like shooting black people.
It's not hate, it's heritage.
yeah, it's heritage.
It's heritage, not hate.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we grew up with it. What's the problem?
You know what? I'm gonna back the blue.
So she knows the phrase as far in politics as she goes.
Oh yeah, and she has a back the blue sticker on the back.
Yeah,
of her
and
car.
she like as far the depth of her knowledge goes, states' rights.
On the back of her SUV.
She says the word states' rights a lot when arguing. States' rights is states. It was all about states' rights.
It's all about states' rights. You know what? The Civil War was not about slavery. It was about states' rights.
Which is interesting because if you can read, like more than a few paragraphs, you can see the Confederate articles, the actual like declaration of their reason for becoming something
it's
outside.
It's not Confederate.
It said right
it's
in
heritage.
there. It said right in there slavery. It said right in there.
You mean the heritage articles?
The heritage articles.
You don't mean Confederate.
People back then didn't mean slavery. Mm-mm. It was different. We were helping these people up.
It was a different time.
They were enslaved by the people in Africa, and we were helping them lift themselves up by their bootstraps.
By bringing them here.
We gave them the damn bootstraps. What more do you want from us?
Do you want more than just bootstraps? What the fuck do you want? Better back that blue.
See, I think we're leaning more towards like a Susanna, where she has to like toss her head when she says like one of the syllables, like Susanna.
No, it's like a K name, but not Karen. You know, like not Karen, but it's Karen. But I don't know what the name is.
Yeah.
It's a K name or a P name.
Or a P name.
Yeah, but not
Patience.
Patricia.
My name's Patience.
That's too cool, maybe. I don't know.
I like it because she has zero.
My name's Patience.
My name's Patience, but I have zero for people who don't understand what the South was about.
I have zero patience for people who pay for their groceries with food stamps who have an iPhone.
There it is. We have her key phrase too. I have zero patience for.
I have zero patience for.
And she can say that about everything. All
I
day
have
long.
zero patience for anyone who does not back the blue.
Her dog like wants to go eat or like piss outside. She's like, what's the dog's name?
Oh, it's a Yorkie.
So what's the?
First
Yeah, it's
of all.
definitely a fucking Yorkie.
Yeah, it's a Yorkie.
What's its name?
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon. I have zero patience. I just swear.
I swear. I don't have any patience for you. What, are you gonna kneel at the national anthem too? You better take your time, Cinnamon.
You better not squat during the national anthem.
Not in my house.
You will hold that bladder. That's what I'm doing. If it's good enough for me, it's
You better
good enough for you.
stand for that flag, Cinnamon. I swear to God.
Oh my God. Okay.
God forgive me. Jesus saves. But I swear to God. I used to live with a guy. Here's a fun story, and I'm pretty sure he'll appreciate this. Hey, Hector, how's it going? I used to live with, when I lived in Omaha, I lived with a guy for a short time. He was my roommate, and he was, like, a part of a blues band in Omaha called the Hector Anchondo Band. And before that, he was in, like, a kind of sublime-ish, sometimes sublime cover band called Anchondo.
Cool. I would have loved it.
And so, like, he was kind of like a local legend-ish type thing.
Gotcha.
But we would listen to old blues together and stuff.
Oh, nice.
And because I really loved it before I lived with him or anything like that. And so, when we lived together, like, we just, like, listened to music all the time together and, like, old records and things like that. And, like, I had a going away party when I moved away from Omaha, because that's when I was living with him, and we performed Where Did You Sleep Last Night?
Oh God, I love that song.
Yeah, and like
it wrenches your heart out.
But I wanted to do, because like there's a difference between the Nirvana version and the original, the Lead Belly version.
Yeah. I think I said Lead Better earlier.
Well, it's
Lead
the
Belly.
yellow lead better at the same time, right?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Did I
Yep.
say that right? Who knows? I've had a little bit of beer, and I've had a little bit
Pearl
of
Jam versus Old Blues, but Pearl Jam's kind of kicking ass for the last 3 decades with
I mean, they've still been, yeah. I mean, Old Blues isn't really, like, the only people who make a comeback on it are old white dudes, and, like, that's the worst shit ever. God. I say that, and, like, one of my favorite people in the world is Jack White, so...
There are a lot of old white dudes who play good music, too. I feel like we're...
But one thing that I love about Jack White is that he hated old white dudes that played...
Oh, really?
blues. Yeah.
It's
So,
a
like...
preference for only the old black dudes and... You know.
Yeah, like, that's like, his influences, like...
Mm-hmm.
Have you listened to... Have you ever heard any, the first White Stripes album?
Oh, yeah.
I have a White Stripes tattoo. I don't know if I ever said that on this podcast before, but I do. I saw them when I was 15, and it changed my life. Yeah, huge deal to me. But he notoriously, like, he hates, like, Stevie Ray Vaughan and shit. And I always did, but I didn't know why.
Yeah. Oh, but you found out later.
And then I found out that I just, like, that it's kind of isn't the best.
Yeah.
Really, I'm not a Stevie Ray Vaughan fan.
I was, and then one day I was in Austin, Texas, and I was driving...
One time I had sex with the guy with the Stevie Ray Vaughan tattoo.
Oh.
You're probably out there watching this.
This might have something to do with it. Maybe not. The music, yeah, I can understand not liking the music. So I liked the music, and I was in Austin, Texas, and you have to like... It's like you have to like barbecue when you're down there. Even if you're eating tofu, you have to like barbecued tofu or something. Like, it's only polite, to like love it. So I'm listening to, tons of Stevie Ray Vaughan, trying to understand what's going on.
Like, yell at somebody. There's only one band that if somebody's playing it, I have to yell at them to turn it off because I can't go on.
Who's that?
I'm gonna, it'll be an interjection. We're gonna have to go on a...
Okay, so I'll wrap the story up.
Okay.
So I'm Pumping Gas by Barton Springs in Austin, Texas, and Stevie Ray Vaughan's brother. I just said, hey, man... I appreciate it, because he does music as well, and I've seen him before. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, I really appreciate what you do. Really appreciated your brother. And that was it. And he huffed and scoffed and made a big deal out of not wanting to take the compliment or anything, and got into his car and sped off fast. And I was like, well, you're a piece of shit, or having a bad day, or whatever.
And then he stole a leather jacket from you later on that day.
That's right. No, his brother Jimmy was a piece of shit, to me once. Mm-hmm. And so, no more listening to him or his brother. That's on me. I'm the one missing out on some culture or whatever.
I've just never really thought it was cool.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, like everybody did, I discovered Jimi Hendrix's Little Wing, all the B-side Jimi Hendrix shit, and Little Wing is 2 minutes long, and it's fine, and I like it. The Stevie Ray Vaughan version is 17 minutes long, and I don't need that shit. I just don't need that shit.
Okay.
I have 2 minutes of just fine guitar riffs and then some dude drunkenly singing over it, and that's fine.
But I bet if you were taking the copious volumes of drugs Stevie Ray Vaughan was, you would thoroughly enjoy the 17 minutes of background noise, flowing
Maybe
ambiance.
I just want to listen to the actual Little Wing over and over again for 17 minutes instead. I'd be like, fly on, Little Wing. All right, let's start over again.
All right.
Butterflies and zebras. Start over again. But, so the one band that you're going to have to fucking turn off. If I'm in a room, I'm in a car with you, if I'm in a house with you, if I'm at a party, I'm going to fucking leave. Tool. Don't play. I'll know.
Man.
Even if it's on, my boyfriend, I love him so much. He's a precious angel. He loves Tool.
Disclaimer.
Loves Tool. And one time he was playing Tool when he picked me up from work one day, and it was on the lowest, but he you could still kind of hear it. But I could tell that it was Tool, and I was like, you better please turn it off. I'm about to put my head in an oven.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but there's some okay, so there's a thing about people who think that they can feel ghosts or see ghosts or whatever. I don't know how anybody feels about ghosts.
Yeah.
My own family has their own beliefs about it. They feel like they project kind of that onto me a little bit, but I don't know. Whatever. Who knows?
Okay. All right.
But there's been a study about people who, like, go into, like, old houses and stuff and they feel like they feel a presence of ghosts or, like, a you know, paranormal presence of some kind. And it ends up being like a...
breaker box that's unshielded?
Well, it's a sound wave vibrating from an old pipe.
Yeah, we've talked about that before on the podcast once, I think. Maybe not on the podcast, but recently. So there have been studies done, because it's pretty easy to do science these days with sound. You can record things with microphones and you can replicate them to humans. So there was a study about, they call it the God sound, or like it was referred to in this article that I read about the study. So they were talking about how churches, the reason you feel a presence in church, like, sure, you may, of your own volition with your chemicals, like, feel profoundly, like, moved by these words, this experience, communal stuff, you know, but there's legitimately an effect that happens to your brain when you have a large enough resonance, a pipe that's large enough to create a deep enough sound to affect your brain in such a way that you are more prone to feeling something. Well, it's legitimately just your nerves, your hearing, like your body like vibrates, like your brain's just taking in multiple signals, and it kind of like fires off this like portion of your brain.
Do you think that like Maynard's privy to that? And that's a thing, and like I'm so like averted to that kind of sound that I'm like...
I think that he's really good at orchestrating bombastic... he would have been like Mozart or Bach or Beethoven by creating like... He could have easily been hired by a president or a king
or songs that like sound fun to sing out loud. He definitely has not made one of those. So there's that.
I'm just reminded of like the weird. He's got a weird like hidden track. Remember hidden tracks from CDs and stuff.
Like the whole first like half of that the first whole album. Not Anima, but the one before it.
With the Red Claw Clay thing? I think that was the second album. I think Anima or whatever was the third album.
Yeah.
So I think there was
whatever the one was before it, it's like hidden track, and then like...
Yep, that's the one I'm talking about.
There's like 8 songs, and then there's like 24 hidden tracks of like different shit.
There's one that talks about like vegetables being slaughtered by the rabbits and stuff. So it's like a little Christian organization of like preaching and stuff.
Yeah. No, I've heard all about that. And then I know a lot about Tool for somebody who fucking hates it, because I love my boyfriend. I'm like, please tell me everything that you know, but also I hate Tool, but I'm still fascinated because you care about it.
Right.
But like, I still want to know shit about shit. Like, I don't care if I hate it or not. You know what I mean? And so, like, I'm just like, tell me everything. And so, like, but he's like, I know a lot of, like, I didn't know that, like, I never knew who Bill Hicks was before I met my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And, like, I guess he's, like, a big dude among, like, Tool fans.
Oh,
because,
really?
like, I guess Maynard references him a lot in, like their shows or songs and things like that. I don't know. But he's like a big character in like Tool fandom.
Okay.
And like I thought that was really weird because I'm like, I like watched his stand up and I'm like, okay, yeah, he seems like a reasonable dude. Like I'd hang out with him. Like he's really bitter and fun.
Yeah.
That's cool. He likes to drink all the time. Fuck yeah. Like, yes, let's be friends. But I didn't realize that it was like a big Tool thing, like Tool fan thing. I spit. I'm so sorry.
They ruined Bill Hicks for you.
No, I mean, I guess kind of.
That's their Jim Morrison cult. That's the figure they.
Is that?
They're trying to make a cult.
There's like the Lost Boys, but like the lead guy looks like Maynard, so he's like 4 feet tall and has like really long hair and hates. What does Maynard hate?
Well, he loves wine. So but he's alone all the time, so he hates people. He hates crowds. He hates being around people.
And he hates crowds, so he's just, like, around a curtain all the time.
Uh-huh.
Like, a curtain surrounds him while he, like, drinks the blood of Bill
The
Hicks.
sacrament of Bill Hicks, yeah.
Yeah, Bill Hicks' blood.
So in this script we have, what's her name, bless her heart? And then we've got Bill Hicks's, like, the Bill Hicks figurine that's for, like, the figurehead that's in the band leading the whole thing. He's, like, 4 feet tall. So she falls in love with this lead singer, or no.
Diane Wiest. But it wouldn't be Diane Wiest, it'd be, like, fucking, like, what's her name? The American Idol chick.
Oh, yeah.
What's her name?
I can't remember. I'm horrible. You're asking me. You're the one who's, like, the encyclopedia of names.
I am but not really. And birthdays. I'm really good at birthdays and names, but right now it's escaping me.
I can do a police sketch for you.
Carrie Underwood. She'll be the star.
Right. Yeah. Totally. But she's got to like frizz and pump her hair out more.
Oh
no, because she's got the man tucked to the manager Bob.
So hold on a second. If we have Bill Hicks as the man at the altar, and our lead protagonist looks like Maynard, who's the sexy saxophone guy? Because that brings them together. Like,
okay, who's their connecting point?
Remember the sexy saxophone guy with his fucking spandex and his saxophone, his oily chest, and his saxophone and his chains and his saxophone. So sexy. Sexy saxophone guy.
Who would be sexy? Everybody loves the guy from Jurassic Park and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Chris Pratt?
Yeah. No, he's buffed himself up.
No, it'd have to be somebody who is in between Maynard and Carrie Underwood.
Oh, okay.
So it'd have to be like Blake Shelton.
Blake Shelton.
I don't know.
He's like 7'9". He's not in between anybody.
No, but I mean, like, as far as like pop culture goes, like, because she's like country and pop or whatever, and like Maynard's like nerdy metal stoner cool shit.
Yeah.
Edge.
All I'm picturing right now is the what's the short guy that's saying "Mother"? Tell your children not to. He's Danzig. Danzig's.
I've seen Danzig twice.
Oh, Danzig's holding a saxophone and he's got chains on.
Oh my god, it would be. You know what? You're so right about that. Like, let's recast Lost Boys. Fucking, it's Maynard over the mantle. And who's the lead vampire then?
Shit.
Like, not the lead, but the lead lead.
Right.
Like not Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh, the other guy?
Yeah.
Fuck.
No, the one who's not, like, who would be Kiefer Sutherland in this?
Who would be Kiefer Sutherland? Okay, so
Zac Efron.
No. I want before he dies. He was in the Firehouse show.
Dennis Leary.
Yeah, Dennis Leary.
Because I watched that show a bunch. Rescue Me.
Dennis Leary, and he totally doesn't fit in with the younger kids. But it's like,
come on.
it's
Y'all
like,
remember that?
2000. It's like the meme with Buscemi who's holding a skateboard and he's like, well, I'm hip, kids. Like, what's up or whatever. And he's got the hat on backwards. And it's like so yeah, you've got him with like a bunch of teenagers.
Okay, wait, hold on. So he'd be the Max.
No, he'd be the what's supposed to be the oldest of the teens.
Okay.
Nobody acknowledges that he's like 40 years older.
No, but Kiefer Sutherland was totally like at least 22.
Okay.
During The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
He had to have been.
He looked a little older. He did look like the cool dad who was hanging out with the teenagers.
Well, the other dude that's with him is fucking part of Bill and Ted. Marco, who gets killed first.
Right, well, good.
Spoiler alert if you've never seen The Lost Boys. Why are you watching this shit anyway?
You should have been watching it while we're talking about it, honestly. Maybe it'll match up, like...
The dark side of The Lost Boys. Artless and Lost Boys. Cry, little sister.
All right, so do we change the dog? Is the dog still a dog? Is it a Chihuahua now? Is it?
It's a German Shepherd. It's what I like to call a Southside Shepherd.
Uh-oh.
Which is a pit bull German Shepherd, which is what my dog is.
Uh-oh.
His name is Sagan.
Oh, yeah? Sagan?
Yes.
And Sagan, like, explains the universe to you when you wake up?
Mm-hmm. Every single morning.
Mm-hmm. And what would you do for Sagan? Cast him in a movie, clearly.
Yeah, clearly. Wait, hold on, wait. What are we asking here?
Would you be his agent? Would you or would you want to keep him for yourself? Would you share him? Would you love Sagan so much that you shared him with the rest of the world?
Oh, come this Halloween, Sagan's gonna have his own Instagram account. I
Oh,
swear
yeah?
to God, yeah. Sagan and Arturo, which is my kitten. I don't know if I showed you, but I definitely showed little girl. I have scratches all over my neck.
Right.
Because my new kitten needs to be on my neck or in my face all the time.
Is that kneading the dough?
No, he just climbs. He climbs from my knee up my body and then just has to be like here. And then he's like, okay, I'm fine, everything's fine.
Uh-huh. So you're slightly allergic to all the bacteria that is inside
he's scratching he's like clawing up my body.
I don't know. That's kind of some like antibacterial salve kind of time.
Oh, I've had a couple of drinks. I might be allergic to it.
You Rudden? Is it Rudden? I think I looked up Rudden the other day, and it's like not. Maybe this is a word my brain made up. Like when you have a ruddened face, like is that not a thing when it becomes like thicker, leather red? Like,
oh, is my face red?
No, not yours, but your chest is all of a sudden.
No,
red.
it is.
Like,
it just does that when I drink.
Right. Okay. So, what are your favorite drinks of all time? Can you remember one bar in all of your life where you had a drink that maybe wasn't the best or it was the most impactful?
One of my favorite bars in the whole fucking world, and I always tell people this no matter where I go, and if they're going to visit the area, go fucking to this place. 'Cause it's my favorite bar, or at least it was like 5 years ago. Haven't been there in a couple years. Jerry's Bar on Military in Benson in Omaha, Nebraska is one of the best fucking bars I've ever been to.
Wow.
And the owner of the bar, Rob, was super cool, and he gave me a t-shirt before I left because I was there a lot all the time. Like before I moved back to Oklahoma City, he gave me t-shirts.
You bought it. It was bought and paid for.
Yeah, bought and paid for. So, but we drank, like, I worked at a tequila bar across town, and I would come there after work just to like chill, you know.
Yeah.
And they closed at midnight, so you couldn't stay out too late anyway.
Right.
So, because like Rob likes to go out after work, you know, like he wants to get off work and have a couple drinks himself. So like
good American.
Yeah. I'm gonna close my bar at midnight and go to the other bars that close at 2. And so like, you know, like I just go there, we drink tequila together. He actually he lived in Prague for 5 years.
Yeah.
And so he was he was fluent in Czech.
Okay.
And two of my sisters, I have 3 sisters, 2 of them, their dad is Czech. And I told him their last name, and he immediately translated it for me.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Yeah, like he knew exactly what it meant. Like,
no
and he
joke.
explained why it meant that, and like what, like the kind of the breakdown of like why their name means that and everything. Like it was really cool. Like, because they didn't know that either, and it was so hilariously perfect for them that like. By the way, their last name is Chaska.
Chaska.
And chast means time. And ka, if you put ka at the end of something, it means a little bit.
A little bit of time?
A little bit of time.
Huh.
And they're always late.
Oh, okay. I was thinking the other way around, like, we can hang out for a little bit. We got a little bit of time.
No, they're always late for everything. So it's like...
give them a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
So John, gonna be late.
Yeah. Exactly.
Pego supposedly is a truncated word from like an older census. From
I always thought it was
1800s.
Italian because the only people that I knew that were named Anthony were Italians.
Yeah, I bet I didn't get a lot of discrimination that I otherwise would have, being known as a Native American back in the 80s, early 80s. There was still some racism left over from the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
70s was kind of when that changed over mostly. And it's supposed to be like from the 1800s, can't remember when, 1820 or 1880 or something like that. And then there was like a 1920 census. There were a couple different, places where like they made agreements and did a census and crap. Yeah. So they would like truncate people's names or make up new names, or like translate it to English or whatever was the fastest or easiest or whatever. So I guess Pego, and I don't know that this is true. This is just from memory. This is like what I remember being told at some point. that the word might have meant a thunderstorm coming over a mountain, and it was a longer word, and then it got truncated to like Pago, and that's it.
Well, that's a really cool.
None
of my names mean anything that cool.
I was a kid, and everyone wants their name to be Hero and to be so I don't know if I just don't remember that right, but that's I remember something about a story like that. So
my last name just means exactly what it sounds.
Yeah.
Bell.
Bing. Well, there's beautiful, but there's also the metal.
No, it's not the French version. It's very English, and my grandparents are actually from Germany.
Oh.
Or at least one of them is.
With a name like Heidi, I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah, no, that's actually not a German name.
It's not? Oh, look at me, the fool.
I know. No. I'm the fool. My mother's the fool. My mother didn't go to high school. She also has a business degree, a bachelor's in business, so she fucking got her GED and got her shit done, but she didn't go to, high school.
Right.
But she met my dad's parents and was like, I'm gonna name my kid something German.
Mm-hmm.
So, my first name, Heidi, is not German. Mm-hmm. History lesson. It's Swiss. It's the shortened version of a German name, Adelaide.
Right.
Heidi is short for Adelaide.
Heidi would have been, if it was German, probably would have just been like Heiden. It would have been Heidi Bell.
Heidi, yeah.
Heidi
Well,
Bell.
that's my middle initial is N. We'll get to that. So, I'm at work. My boss that I told you about, please cut this out. I just want to tell you the story.
That's okay.
She told me, like I said, like she's from Iran. And she said, do you know what your name means? Sorry, I'm going to do like a really shitty impression of her, but she's like, do you know what your name means? Heidi, do you know what your name means? It's like, I don't know what it means. It's like, I thought it was like German or whatever,
yeah.
Mom said. And she was like, no, it's an old Persian name.
What?
It means gifted.
Gifted. Aww.
And I was like, that's the sweetest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. But thank you.
You retorted, and you came empty-handed.
Yeah. So here I am your employee. I'm sorry. And so my middle name, which really ignited a fire in my dad's parents.
Really?
Natasha.
Why is that like such a, big
because
deal?
It's Russian.
And they didn't want the communism. They wanted to escape communism and not be.
They were
done with Russia.
Absolutely. Like, anti-Russian, everything. And they were very upset that my middle name was Natasha.
Wow.
But my mom thought it was a German name, so I don't know why. My mother never watched an episode of the Moose and Squirrel.
Moose and Squirrel. Rocky Bullwinkle.
And... That's the first thing I thought of was Moose and Squirrel.
What was her? I think it was Natasha, wasn't it? And Boris?
Boris and Natasha.
Yeah. It was supposed to be Tony Pago, because I think like an uncle, like my...
It's so funny, I was on my way here and I was listening to, I don't know if do you listen to the Pixies at all?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, so like I was listening to
This is Tony's song.
Yeah, this is Tony's song. And I was like, this is really weird. Like, this is coming up right now. Like I was pulling up and like trying to find your house and I'm like, I have to turn this down. Like I have to concentrate.
Oh God, I just like, the song starts to, really, the songs can adapt to do like the GPS stuff. So it's like, this is Tony's song. You turn right into Tony's in half a mile.
You turn up. There you go. 800 feet to your right. This is Tony's song. Ta-da-da-da-da. Riding around on my pony.
Hopefully it doesn't actually start to edit our songs. I like my songs the way they are.
I don't have any good songs. Like, there's no Heidi songs that are good.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, no, it fucking sucks.
Somebody's got to write Heidi's song.
Yeah. You know what? The Ramones didn't do a good Heidi song because no one can remember it.
What would you have the elements of the song?
I'd want it to sound like Fleetwood Mac.
Okay.
If Fleetwood Mac could write a song about Heidi, that would be cool. Like Rhiannon, but Heidi.
Kind of like hippie-ish, mysterious, blues-driven.
No, just witchy.
Witchy.
I just want witchy. I just want somebody witchy to write a song about me.
Okay.
Yeah. About me, not just my name.
You need certain kind of like descriptions you need, like...
fucking cool and witchy.
I'm fucking cool and witchy.
I don't know. Like, take what you will. I don't know. Like, what are attributes? I'm wearing
you
tights.
She does makeup every morning. Like, I mean, there's nothing you want.
Doing makeup, selling artwork.
Selling artwork.
Processing orders.
Actually, this
in
is
Excel.
Now this sounds like an old 80s sitcom. You just describe the whole, like, because people only have like 30 minutes worth of time to do anything.
So you have to do the whole mod opening, like,
yeah.
And then there's mod. Gonna describe mod for 30 minutes, and then we get to the show. Here's mod.
Right into it. Hey, Steven.
Sorry, that was a Family Guy joke that I stole, but it's true because like, I really love B. Arthur, and I did watch episodes of Mod.
Oh my god. When you were sick as a kid with Grandma. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. I think we talked about that in one of our podcasts, yeah?
On my own volition and very
very
healthy at night. Just
not crying into popcorn, Girls. Just kind of...
The Golden Girls is on.
Oh, I love them. Mod. Come on. So I did. I'll give this question to you. Yes. I already answered it myself on mine, but
I would love one.
The Golden Girls reboot. Who's in it? And it's a prequel.
Excuse me. There's a Golden Girls.
No, there's not. I'm making this
okay.
up. So a prequel to the Golden Girls, but it's set with modern characters, modern actors. So they're younger.
Are they? Okay.
They're slightly younger. They could be like newly becoming single, all divorcing or whatever.
Okay. Jennifer Aniston is Blanche.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Rose is Jennifer Lawrence.
Wow, good.
And Dorothy is... I don't know. I don't know how to cast Dorothy. Like... Who would be a good Dorothy?
I picked all of the like reality TV gals, like the old Disney gals or like the reality TV gals. I went like total. Well, on Paris Hilton, you know.
Oh well.
Yeah, I went all Bravo with it.
You went way over there with it, and I'm like thinking like, who would I be?
You want a real?
Okay,
you're
with,
really
like,
casting it.
No, I always do that. Like with Sharp Objects, I'm going to talk about for a second because it was kind of the best thing that I've seen in a really long time. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't fall in love with movies a lot. I don't fall in love with shows a lot. But I fall in love with books sometimes, and I feel like I really like all of Gillian Flynn's books. They're not amazing, you know, as far as like... I think that just died.
We're fine.
Okay. They're not amazing as far as like feminism goes or anything like that. As far as I could tell, because she kind of like in the story, like the protagonist kind of like is like, ew, you're a feminist type. Like she kind of has like this kind of bitterness towards that. But as far as like everything about that goes, Sharp Objects was my favorite book of hers, and out of the 3 books that the full books that she's written, Gone Girl, Dark Places, Sharp Objects, Dark Places was horribly miscast. Like, they had so many opportunities to make this a good movie, and they just kind of completely ruined it. They had Charlize Theron as the lead. She's supposed to be a short, redheaded, bitter woman, and she's played by Charlize Theron.
Okay.
Who's like 6 feet tall and just like beautiful and gorgeous no matter what she fucking does. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So they totally miscast that character. They miscast that whole movie. I was really bummed out about it. Gone Girl was fine. I really hated the way that they portrayed the male character, Nick, in that movie. Because in the movie they didn't really go into like the source of his misogyny and everything like that. They just kind of like let it pass as like part of like the story instead of like telling the story about why he is that shitty to his wife and things like that.
Right.
That's what I noticed. I don't know, maybe I need to watch it again, but I watched Sharp Objects, which is which was turned into a series on HBO this past summer. And the last episode just aired a couple weeks ago. And I just finished it last week. And I read the book 4 times because it's one of my favorites.
Wow.
And I still was shocked by the ending. Like,
wow.
Even though I knew it was going to happen, I knew everything that was going to happen, but, like, the way that it was acted, the way that it was cast, the way that everything, like, worked out, like, it was so fucking good that, like, I was talking to my sister about it, and we were just, like, having conversation, just, like, talking about the show, and not just, like, how we felt about it, just, like, what happened in it, and it made me, like, cringe. Like, it's so fucking good. Like, I highly recommend it. It's absolutely true to the book. Like, almost everything about it is absolutely true to the book and the story and everything. So, like,
when you read a good book like that and you're reading it like 4 or 5 times or 12 times or 1,000
I mean,
times,
I never expected it to be what it was, and it absolutely ended up being better. Like, I would watch the show again because I loved, like, I read the book so many times, but because it was just so perfectly, like,
what makes you fall in love with these things? Like, is it the description of the settings and the emotions and the, like, is there always like a kind of a third person? Or
I will give an example of that. I have a really hard time falling in love with books that are told by a third person.
Yeah, right.
I'm not really into that because I always connect better if it's told by somebody who is there.
Okay.
And I was telling my sister, because she was asking me, like, I want to read more books, like, what can you, like, recommend to me, whatever, and she'd already read all of the Gillian Flynn books, and so I was like, well, I don't know if you've read it, I think that you should. It's called The Girls by Emma Cline.
Okay.
And it's written by a woman who's younger than me, which blew my fucking mind when I looked her up. She wrote this amazing book, and it's about a teenage girl growing up in the 60s who joins a not Manson cult. Like, it's the Manson cult, but it's like the not man. Like,
yeah, right. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Not the same name, but the same.
Right. Yeah.
And it's beautifully told. Like, it didn't have to be about a cult, like, for me to love it, because it was just really insightful.
It didn't have to be dark and moody and crazy.
Yeah, it didn't have to be about any of that, because, like, the way that it's written is just so insightful that, like, I was reading it and I was like, I'm 14 years old again, like, feeling like all of these internalized, like, feelings all the time, like, everything's so, like, everything about you is internalized, and, like, because, like, you're going through puberty and you're like trying to figure out who you are you supposed to figure out who you are,
right,
like, things like that, like, you don't really understand the nuances of, like, what the world means yet, and and she's figuring that out by joining a cult.
I agree. That's what.
And it's really good. Like, I loved it because of the nuances like that. Like, it was just, like, really insightful. Like, I was like, I remember thinking that when I was 14. I remember thinking that when I was 16.
Okay.
Like,
so that's a big part of it, is you connecting to these previous, like, revelations. Like, you came to this big, huge.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it, was that there were revelations in it. Like, that's, like, I hate being the guy that recommends Chuck Palahniuk books, because I absolutely love them, but they're not for everybody, and they make me sound like a fucking edgelord when I'm like, my favorite book's fucking Fight Club.
Okay,
but
I get that.
like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, despite the plot, despite everything else, like, if you dig into books like Invisible Monsters or my favorite, Survivor, like, it's not about the plot, it's about the insightfulness throughout it.
Okay.
Like, sure, you're getting from point A to point B, but there's a bunch of stuff in between that you're absorbing.
How important is the scene setting for you to know, like, the wood is like old and, dry, or, like, it's like a, beautiful day, it's a dry day.
I want to know that if it pertains to how they feel about the day.
If it matters. Yeah, if it
because,
advances
like,
the plot.
If they're talking about it, then it influences how the day is going. Like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's, like, I'm not an expert on transgressive which is what the style is, transgressive style, which is how Chuck Palahniuk writes in. I don't know if you've ever read any Chuck Palahniuk books.
I think so. Yeah, I went through a couple parts of books.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of recommend them because they're like, at least Invisible Monsters is great. It's told by at least a woman's perspective. But like Fight Club.
Yeah. Sure.
And Chuck Palahniuk is a gay man, and he wrote it about hypermasculinity.
Mm-hmm.
And like the pressure of men to feel like they have to be a certain way, like that whole scene in Fight Club where he's like, our great war is a spiritual war and our great depression is our lives.
Yeah.
Because we have nothing else to fucking feel because we're all a bunch of white dudes.
Right.
And we're gonna fight each other because this is the only way that we can express our masculinity.
Make it mean something.
And we have to hide it.
Right.
Like, it's great in that way when you think about it that way, but the other thing is, like, he's still a white dude, you know?
Sure,
like,
sure.
So it's,
Yeah.
like, kind of hard to still, like, love him at that point, because, like, at this point, like, I'm sorry, but, like, I don't want to read books written by men anymore.
Right.
Because, like, I just can't connect with it.
Right. It's like the double-edged sword or the double-sided coin, the coin with two sides. A celebrity talking about the plights of man who particularly are impoverished or sick.
Right.
And it's like, well, I believe you and I know this, and I'm super glad you're spending some millions or bringing millions of dollars into
but,
that.
like, I've been knowing how this
Yeah,
felt
like
for my
we didn't
life
realize
or
that
whatever.
when we were 27 and could just do it. We worked for this, or we struggled with people.
And not that I think that, you know, Chuck Palahniuk didn't struggle or whatever, but, like, it's just hard to read a book about a woman written by a dude.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that that's probably the same thing with men. Like, I don't want to read a book written by a woman about a dude. Like, I don't think a lot of men would
I notice
enjoy
a
Gone
lot
Girl,
of like discrepancies in the way they describe the thought patterns. Yeah.
There
Yeah,
is. There absolutely is. Like, I've noticed that. Like, I've just been buying books from Amazon that, like, are suggested to me that are, like, horror novella or whatever. And I'm like, cool, yeah, like, let's get that in here. I'll buy it, whatever. I don't care. It's $3. Fine. Throw it in the cart. Buy it. And I'm reading it, and I hate it because it's written by a guy, and it's from a woman's perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, but you just don't. There's something not connecting with it.
Well, that makes it very hard. So I'm writing something. I'm always writing something. I'm like every other schmo, every other hipster.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to, like...
No, you're fine. My thing is, like, I'm writing it from a dude's perspective because I'm also fearful of, like, misrepresenting or not understanding the right, voice to come from. I don't want what we were describing, like, you suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
When you get, like, overwhelmed and see the movie, you become part of the creation. Mm-hmm. You interpret it your own way, like you interpret art, like we were talking about earlier, but, like, you suspend disbelief, and some things bring you out of that, even in books, when, like, it's like, that's the easiest way to, like, fill your brain full of an imaginative, world. You build your own world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, like, when it pulls you out of that, it's really disheartening. Like, you all of a sudden, it's like listening to a great album, and then all of a sudden they play a really shitty, like, few chords, and it's just, like, the wrong chords, and the lyrics suck, and you're like, what the fuck happened to...
Why did Pink write my lyrics?
I'm not a Pink fan.
Or maybe I'm not a Linda Perry fan. That could be it.
Yeah, I don't like the music either. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay. But like
I don't want to write that voice of a woman and pull my readers out of my work, and that really slows down.
And that's
a lot
like
of my process.
Feel bad about that because like I don't like because I was talking to my sister about it. My sister that I was talking to about books and shit, and she was just like, honestly, I don't want to read anything that's written by a man. She just now started reading books because she was like never into reading ever, but like just in the last year or two, she just started reading again. Yeah. And like for fun, Right. And she was just like, I don't want to read anything that's written by a man because I just don't connect with it. Like I just don't have a connection with it, and I just don't want like men to be hateful about that because it's like you have to understand like I'm sure that like a person of color wouldn't want to read a book that's written by a white person, right. That's like in there, right? In like a person of color's perspective. You know what I mean? The
plight of black people in South America, or sorry, the Southern United States, as written by John W.
Stephen King.
Smith. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
No, I understand, and I guess that's like part of our jobs because look, let's not sound like
it's easier for me to read a book that's written by a woman that even has a male perspective than it is for me to read a male perspective.
No, I agree with that.
Writing a book about a woman.
Well, I mean, that makes sense just logically. Like, women haven't traditionally been allowed to speak their thoughts or write from their voice for very long. That's kind of a modern thing. And so having that ingrained societally, it's not very easy. Like, a lot of us can bullshit, and it's very piss poor, but like, we can bullshit Shakespeare. We don't know the words. We don't know the dialect. I mean, nobody does. Like, not the whole fucking thing. I don't know anything
about Shakespeare except for Macbeth.
And that dude, like, pulled words out of his ass. He made up words all the time, you know? But, like, it comes from kind of an algorithm.
Did he?
Right? Did a woman. It could have been a woman.
Or did somebody else?
She is a theory as well. But the idea is that, like, you know, that vernacular, that, like, algorithm of that way of speaking and thinking comes, like, it gets programmed into your brain, but it takes time. It takes decades and decades for you to, like, utilize this filter or this, like, translation machine in your brain that goes, like, here's my normal words, my thoughts, I want to translate them into Shakespearean, Victorian, whatever, bullshit. Mm-hmm. But the same thing goes with, like, I want to translate my thoughts, maybe not my speech, hopefully, into, like, a woman's perspective, you know, and stuff like that. And when women have been shut down for, you know, forever, then there's not a whole lot of, like, data to pull upon to get the actual thoughts on the complex shit, like just the weird frustrations or the, you know,
the inner monologue and of, like, microaggressions, like, and I know people of color experience microaggressions all the time, and, like, as I know I'm a white woman, but I, like, as a woman I still experience microaggressions.
Sure.
And I don't feel like, not that I want to put myself in the same plane as women of color, because I'm definitely not there, but you know what I mean? Like, I still experience them, whether or not, like, you know, whatever. But, I don't feel like a white dude would be able to, like, express the way that those microaggressions feel, the way that a woman could.
Okay, I believe that.
And just as, like, even as a white woman, like, I have my, like, microaggressions against me all the fucking time. Just being a woman, I can't even fucking imagine being, like, a visible woman of color, like, you know what I mean? Like, and experiencing that all the time.
Right. That
but,
plus
like,
that.
That plus that plus that plus that, you know, or, like, a, you know, like, microaggressions against women of color who are, you know, non-binary or queer or anything like that.
Name anything, like, autistic.
Whatever, know. Like, whatever. It's way different, but, like, they, like, even white dudes can't get white women right, you know, in their literature. Right. They still, you know what I mean? Like, I know it sounds really shitty, but, like, it's not.
Well, that's a good task. If anybody ever hears this podcast,
I'm sorry, but,
no,
like, send
us, like, a link of somebody, like, a dude who has, like, some good female.
Like, I really, insights. Like I said, like, I really loved Invisible Monsters, and that's written by a woman, a cis woman's perspective about her life being a model and her, like, half of her face being shot off afterward and being, like, hidden in the world after that. So, like, you know, and that's Chuck Palahniuk, you know. I really loved that book, and I loved all the insight from it, but it was just a very, like, I mean, I was, like, 19 when I read it, so it was, like, of course, very nihilistic and very, like, anarchy. I am everybody who's ever made me, or whatever, like, you know, just... But, I still found it very insightful in other ways anyway, like, outside of that, like, since reading it from when I was 19, you know? And that's a gay, white, cis man reading it, you know, and, like, so he kind of has a perspective a little bit that's different from, like, Stephen King writing a book about a woman, you know, or about a teenage girl, Carrie, or whatever. I just feel like there's a disconnect with that.
I would,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to alienate anybody, and I'm not the expert on reading or authors or anything like that. Please don't, like, put me on that pedestal. I'm not going to put myself out there, but...
I would hate read for a couple chapters, Mike Pence writing a romance novel from a female's perspective, from like a young, however he describes
That
a
would
young.
be so interesting. Young would be like, oh, he calls his wife mother. So.
That's right. So you got to go. And
I gotta go.
I'm sorry for keeping you so late, but
It's okay.
so pumpkin spice fall changeover. Do you like pumpkin spice?
I've never had pumpkin spice anything that wasn't a pie. Like, I honestly never did, and I never really cared about it. Apparently it's a thing. That's totally fine. Like, have your pumpkin spice and eat it too. Do whatever you want.
Uggs and the sweaters and the whole outfit and everything.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's not
Be
me.
yourself. Get
I've
it?
never worn Uggs. They sound comfortable as fuck, but I've never worn them. I wear scarves all the time, but I just thought that was because I secretly like.
What's your one personal like routine, like your thing? Like,
That's basic.
No, that changes you over into fall. Like, what's your thing that like your your routine, your tradition, your.
I watch a horror movie a day.
You do it more so when fall comes and
Yeah.
stuff. That's good. I like it.
Watch a horror movie a day.
What's next?
What do you mean?
What's a horror movie you're gonna watch for sure?
Well, we talked about Hereditary already. Already watched it. I don't know yet. I have to go on Netflix and figure that out. No, wait, hold on. I have one that I bought from. I bought it from Vintage Stock on DVD, and it stars David Hasselhoff and Linda Blair.
Oh God.
And it's called The Witchery. I bought it for $2.
The Witchery. Okay.
I have not watched it yet, but it has Linda Blair and David Hasselhoff in it, and it was like made in 1989.
Oh, perfect. So if I watch this, you will come back and we can like talk about this movie.
Yeah, if you can find it.
I'll find it. I'll find it somehow.
The Witchery.
The Witchery.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for coming today. I'm so sorry to
Always.
keep you, but this is Artless Nap. Thanks for being with us. This is
Thank
Heidi
you.
Bell.
Thank you for
Anthony
having
Pago.
me.
Have a good night.